All right, welcome everyone to week 7 of the XPO Madison season here. It'll be the Marvels versus the Franklin Magic this week. Two very good teams. Marvels placed at number 2 in the rankings and the Magic at number 3. We will see who comes out on top this week. We will be starting up pretty shortly here, just waiting on one last person from the Franklin team. Making sure that each teams have a fair fight. Don't want to have any bots in the game. And this week, we will be having a pretty typical lineup from the Madison side here. Not too many substitutions at all. And we have Goofy Gamer going with that damage. You've seen his Reaper before. Got Lunar Eclipse with the healing. 007 Master Chief with that frontline damage. Same with Dominate, and then Ghost and Ripper there with the healing and the damage. And looks like we will be getting started right now, and I will hand it over to Bennett. He is here with us again to explain the map and this game type that we are going to be playing on today.
All right, so this is going to be the escort game type. I think the last one we haven't seen, so the attacking team will have to push a payload through 3 checkpoints. The defending team trying to stop them. Each time that they reach one of the checkpoints, they'll get a little bit more time on their timer, and the spawn rooms will be extended further throughout the map. So the defending team is going to want to hold each of these checkpoints, the attack. So it's basically 3 little maps in one, you can think of it as. And of course, whichever team is able to make it farther through the map will win. It is nearly impossible to have a draw on this type of map, since if the teams reach the same checkpoint, the tie will be broken by how far the payload has traveled. And it's going to be Madison now on the first attack. Looks like they're playing some sort of bunkering up on the payload composition, combined with a little bit of that knocking the enemy team around power with the Lucio and the Wrecking Ball. Not sure how exactly this is going to play out. The Ana goes down early for the Magic, and Dominate just running through there with the Wrecking Ball, trying to disrupt things. You're seeing the Bastion bunker, difficult to deal with for Madison. They'll get the action onto the Reaper, but they're still having a hard time dealing the damage that needs to be done. Dominate taking some damage, but is able to get the disruption there, leaving the Bastion without any protection. However, still the Bastion is going to be able to just rain that damage down upon them. Goes down though to those Junkrat mines that are dropped, and Dominate is just dodging through the enemy team, doing a great job on that incredibly mobile Wrecking Ball hero. As the Ana falls once again, it's just a few left here to try to hold out for the Franklin Magic. They're going to be having some trouble. Reinhardt is going to make the charge though, takes down the Reaper, but with no shield left, the Junkrat is just going to be able to melt the rest of that Reinhardt's health. And gets a couple of swings on the payload, but without that much health left and without healing, the Reinhardt will eventually fall. Silver Madison team making their way for the Bastion is hidden in that side room though. Dominate's gonna have to be careful, doesn't want to inadvertently run into that. The Reaper for Madison making their way forward. Dominate gets some damage done, but takes much on just a sliver of health, and Madison's healer is gonna have to be working overtime to keep everyone up at the moment. The Bastion takes down the Reaper once again though, will be resurrected. Fantastic Madison's healers to keep everybody in the fight. And then the Bastion will go down to that Reaper. Junkrat falls as well, and Madison continue their advance towards the end of this first checkpoint. It's going to be the last chance now to contest very soon for the Franklin Magic. There's a Lucio in the backline, but having trouble getting any of that damage done. The checkpoint is so close here. You can see on the top of your screen how close that payload is. The Bastion though, Madison might have some trouble dealing with that one. That cannon does a massive amount of damage and Dominate knocked off the map. The Riptire though is able to more than counter for it. The supercharger comes out from Orisa, amplifying the damage of the magic, but it's still not going to be enough. Reinhardt and Lucio gonna have some trouble standing up against everyone. Their health so dangerously low right now, and the Junkrat able to deal so much damage. The sound barrier, though, giving them the temporary shields that might just let them do what they need to. The Riptire falls for Franklin Magic, and they're not going to be able to find eliminations based on that, but Dominate, unable to be healed right now, is going to flow. And the Franklin spawn point is closer than Madison's, and as the players are respawning and trickling back into the fight, this might come to matter. But the Wrecking Ball is able to knock Franklin away, and that is going to let Madison capture this first checkpoint. And now Franklin, they're able to get a lot done here, but in the end, Madison will have much closer spawns now that they've taken this checkpoint. Damage from the Junkrat is going to make it very difficult for Franklin to try to hold on this bridge. Those bombs just dealing so much damage. Ana falling once again, and Madison, they have a pretty good bank of ultimates ready for them to use. Gonna have almost every tank actually, and are gonna be able to deal quite a bit of damage to Franklin here. That Earthshatter is just gonna hit the Wrecking Ball, but he will get pinned, taking a lot of damage now, but is there. And great damage from the Junkrat as well to finally get Madison across this bridge. Mercy, though, gets into a little bit of danger and will have to fly back to the team. Might be able to resurrect the ball here, yes. And now Madison rolling in here with 5 ultimate thing in response, really, for Franklin. The Bastion tank ultimate is just not going to be able to make it in time, potentially. The Death Blossom comes out, takes down the Junkrat. And actually looking for a few more here onto the Lucio and the Reinhardt. And if Madison can find these options, it'll be pretty significant. The Supercharger ultimate now going to come up from Madison. That's going to be giving them extra damage here. As the tank comes out, though, it's going to melt Dominate. And the healing from the Ana is perfect for that moment, as none of Madison are able to receive healing. The Riptire comes into the backline, though, Franklin, and now they're down supports. Junkrat can get enough done here. It may be enough to get them this checkpoint. Only the tanks remain for Franklin, and now not even that. The Reinhardt falls. The Orisa's Supercharger has come out, but the Orisa herself is eliminated, and Madison, they will take that checkpoint off the back of some amazing plays by Ghost on that Junkrat.
Yeah, Ghost there taking every single elimination there, eliminating the entire team. Not by himself, but ended up getting the last hit on every single one of them there. A great job by Ghost.
Yeah, and actually, you can see almost has charged up that Riptire once again, which might give them a great opportunity to start securing the third and final checkpoint here. With 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, Madison have a fairly decent shot at capturing this entire map. We just got to keep that point rolling. And the Riptire comes out once again. The Junkrat has died, but the Tire is still alive, and that's going to be able to trade out. Is able to eliminate the Junkrat and Lucio for the enemy team as down that Riptire. And then the Resurrection comes on, and Junkrat's right back into this fight. The Earthshatter used onto the ball once again, but Dominate is able to escape relatively unscathed, as Madison's healing is just so excellent, doing a fantastic job going up. It's going to be Lunar Eclipse on the Mercy. Although the Lucio is making Madison's life a little difficult here, they're going to be having some trouble clearing him off the point. And with their Orisa down, Madison might choose to regroup, but the Resurrection is there yet again. Fantastic job from Lunar Eclipse. The Fortify comes out from the Orisa, trying to keep herself alive against this entire enemy team. Not going to be enough. Does get eliminated by that tank. But forcing ult out of the enemy team is always a benefit. And now Dominate coming up close to the minefield. The Supercharger and Riptire not far behind either. Junkrat falls, though, and Madison, they might need to regroup here in order to get another successful push. And now it's Franklin's Junkrat going to be just throwing those mines into there, making Matt a little bit more tricky. But there are the mines from Madison. That minefield going to make it very tricky for the Franklin to stay up. They're going to have to use that set barrier to keep themselves healthy. The Resurrection on the Reaper is not going to be enough, and he will fall once again. The Tire, though, the entire enemy team is grouped up. Not going to be enough to find those eliminations, unfortunately, but does find Lucio, as that Bastion gets one elimination, but then falls himself. And now it's the enemy Tire, though. Madison have got to be it is going to find their Lucio, and with 30 seconds left, this last scrappy fight is getting closer and closer. The Orisa just trying to stay up here, not going to be able to do so against the overwhelming damage of the Junkrat. The Mercy actually gets canceled as well, but Madison are keeping control here. If they can only survive against this Bastion for a little bit longer, they're going to have a great shot at this. The Reaper trying to get the damage that needs to be done, but the Bastion is in the tank form once again, getting the healing that it needs. Madison are driven away from the point, and they're going to have one last chance to touch. It looks like it's going to be Dominate on the Wrecking Ball, tasked with touching the point this one final time in order to trigger overtime and give them a last chance at capturing this entire point. The minefield going up as well is going to make life a little tricky for Franklin. They're loose to that, and the Bastion going down as well. The D.Va self-destruct beautifully dodged by the Junkrat for Madison, but the nano boost going onto the Orisa is going to make her so difficult to eliminate, and Madison are going to have such a getting in here. The Reaper going down to that damage. The Resurrection coming onto the Junkrat though now, and now Madison, they might have a slight advantage. The Riptire comes out, he is going to just absolutely exterminate that Orisa, and now you're getting more and more damage from that Junkrat, going to be putting some pressure on the Bastion. If the Bastion falls, Franklin are going to have a very difficult holding this final point. But their players are coming back once again, and Madison are finally cleared off the point.
Yeah, they just needed that little extra push there, but Franklin did a fantastic job of keeping that point from being moved any further, and Madison only got 2 out of 3 of those points there. So Franklin is able to take this point if they're able to get all the way to the end.
Right, and now Franklin, they are going to have all of that time in order to do the same thing Madison did. If they make it onto the final checkpoint but can't push the quite as far as Madison were able to, Madison will still take the map. So what Madison need to do to win is to hold them somewhere on all of that ground that they were able to take. And it's quite a bit. Rialto, excuse me, is a punishing map for the offense. Little mistakes can very easily go very wrong. I see lots of teams getting held entirely to the first checkpoint, never mind the second and third. So Madison still have a fairly good shot at this, I believe. And they're going to be switching up their compositions somewhat in switching off that Junkrat spam damage, and it's using Genji and Ashe. Some really tricky heroes to play correctly, but if you can do it, they are able to get a tremendous amount of value. And I believe we've already seen Ghost's Genji play earlier in this league, and it has been fairly good, so excited to see that. Madison's Ashe, though, fairly far forward. She's going to have some trouble staying up here. Actually gets eliminated by the Mercy. But the Junkrat does go down. That Genji just gets right into the backline and deals the damage. Already has charged up 40%, make it 50 of that Dragon Blade ultimate by the Mercy. A really successful bit of movement there from that Genji. Ghost doing a great job here. Maybe just trying to deflect those Bastion bullets. Exactly what's happening. You can see the Bastion falls to his own deflected fire. And now the Genji's just sitting, waiting to do it again. 80% of the Dragon Blade ultimate has already been charged. The deflect is there, but the Reinhardt's hammer does even more damage, and the Genji falls. Madison having some trouble to hold this one. And as the Reaper goes down, it's just the Lucio left. Gets splashed by that anti-healing, and that will be all. Mercy just trying to get a bit of charge there, working with the Orisa. But with the entire enemy team on the payload, it's going to be difficult for just one to contest it. Nice resurrection from Mercy, though. And the Genji's getting into the backline once again. Has the Dragon, could use it at any point. And just bothering that Bastion is very much worth doing. The Dragon Blade slices through the enemy team. A lot of damage. The Bastion falls. The Resurrect comes out to the Junkrat, but Genji is still out there dealing damage, assisted by that Wrecking Ball. And it looks like Madison have been able to stabilize here. The Reinhardt going to be isolated. Madison's Mercy, unfortunately. And the Riptire could turn this fight, potentially. Is going to be chasing the Wrecking Ball, but will settle for both of Madison's damage heroes. And now the Reinhardt, still alive here somehow, is going to just keep pushing that cart. But Madison, they have been given the time that they needed to stabilize once again. Their respawning heroes are starting to come in now. Those damage heroes that fell to the Riptire are going to be coming back. And Dominate just going to be keeping that point moving slowly. The Earth Shatter comes down. It's going to take down Madison's Reaper, but that will be resurrected. The Wrecking Ball falls to the Bastion, but the Genji just gets in front of that Bastion once again. Just bring him. And Ghost is doing a fantastic job at that role of bothering the enemy team. Unfortunately, not going to be able to survive in that 1 versus 5 situation. And Madison looks like they will be cleared off this first checkpoint. Dominate having a hard time even getting payload with that Bastion on it. And that turret is so powerful on escort maps. I expect we're going to be seeing more of it in the future as the payload is going to roll onto the second point. Madison's Mercy falls, but the blade is out. And Ghost is just going to be chopping through the enemy team. Already takes down the Bastion and Mercy. And that might be enough to give Madison a clear advantage in this fight. Dominate looking for the Junkrat as well. Takes a lot of damage from the enemy team. Won't be able to be healed because of that Ana. But Madison, they're just getting right in here and dealing an awful lot of damage. Unfortunately, not going to be quite enough, and the Resurrect is canceled. Lunar Eclipse not quite able to make it happen this time. And the cart goes onto the second checkpoint. Junkrat actually goes down to a well-timed Fire Strike from the Franklin Magic, and Madison need to regroup here. They're not able to stand against this oppressive turret that's just wiping them off the map here. Extremely effective composition that we're seeing out of the Franklin Magic. And Madison, they have one last chance here to defend the second checkpoint. But the Ana from Franklin is going to be caught out of position, taken down by those Junkrat mines. The rest of the team, meanwhile, on the cart. But the Junkrat from behind is enough to take down the Bastion. The Resurrection is attempted by the Mercy. It will succeed. The Earth Shatter has taken down Dominate on that tank roll. But Madison, they just keep throwing in those mines from the Junkrat, those grenades. And they have seized control of the cart. And it's once again going to be Ghost switching off the Genji now. And it's that Junkrat that really appears to be giving Madison exactly what they need in this moment. The Bastion is hidden in the corner, but against an entire enemy team, even a Bastion is not going to be able to stay up for long. Madison have stabilized, and with 2 minutes left, they can hold it here. And I think the Sigma is a really excellent choice as well from Dominate here. Has the Kinetic Grasp ability, able to eat damage from the enemy team and form it into shields for himself. And if the Kinetic Grasp is put in front of the Bastion, it essentially disables that hero. So a really smart choice from Dominate to use that ability. They're good at countering it, but the Riptire from Ghost is going to be able to shut down the Mercy and the Bastion. No Resurrect will be available since the Mercy fell as well to that damage. And now Franklin's Junkrat gets caught by Madison as well, but the Nano Boost does come onto the Reinhardt from Franklin, and they're going to be doing a lot of damage to Madison's Orisa, who will fall. Dominate, getting right in there with that damage as Sigma, a high damage tank. The Kinetic Grasp, though, should be able to keep him up for a little bit longer here. And the Resurrect comes onto the Lucio. Good choice from Madison, making sure to get their healing back up, support front line here, and with only 30 seconds remaining, Madison just needs to stabilize here, and that will be enough. The Junkrat in their backline is a danger to them, but it's a danger that they are able to handle. Now the Gravitic Flux, not going to find anything from Dominate. That ultimate ability will not be getting the job done just right now, but the Junkrat will be able to get the job done, and the Riptire, charged up once again, is going to be giving Franklin's time. The Bastion falling is going to mean that they are once again without that hero that they so wanted and cleared off the payload. That's going to mean Madison can take this round.
Yeah, good job from Madison for keeping that Bastion from dealing a lot of damage there. That was their main source of damage from the Franklin team, and they did a good job of denying that. And we can see the play of the game from Ghost here with that Riptire. Ends up getting
it gets three with the Riptire, and then I believe later in this play there were 2 others who went down that we're just not quite able to see. And
Yeah,
with 60 eliminations, Ghost did a fantastic job this game.
Yeah, that is a absolutely insane amount of damage he was putting in there. 71% of the kill participation is no small feat. And we will be right back with the second game after the Madison Marbles took that first one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rip it. It doesn't matter at all.
Esports is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're taking that and we're delivering it to elementary and middle school kids.
Yo, you guys are getting pretty wrecked by me. Dad, all right, push up with me.
We're bridging the gap between conventional athletics and competitive gaming. We have kids working on the same technology that the pros are training to improve their skills.
When did you lose? Why did you lose? Like the games that you lost, why did you lose?
Through a partnership with the Positive Coaching Alliance, our coaches go through a double goal certification. They learn not only how to work through the strategies of the different games they're playing, but they also work through how to impact these kids' lives in a positive way. They get to mark and highlight behaviors and attributes that will lead to long-term life skills. You love being Battle Mercy.
Yes, battle.
No, it's not. Why don't you tell us your favorite move that Mercy does? So what brought me to XP League is the experience of my children. I had always hoped and wanted them to be a part of a youth athletics team. So I realized they all love competitive gaming. So why not marry their passion with what I'm hoping for them to learn and achieve and put healthy, solid values in place in something that the kids want to do and are excited about doing.
Yes, Boot Steve!
Experience points. Every game awards experience points. And what we built here is an experience. Professional level equipment, the top tier partners in esports. They're also getting the experience of sportsmanship values, of working with mentors and coaches, and of being part of the team. It's all about the experience.
I need you. Nice. Go. Group in now. Push in. We don't have to dead. Good game.
All right, welcome back for the second match of today's game. It will be the different map here, and I will hand it over to Bennett to give us a little insight about how this map may turn out.
All right, so this is going to be Route 66, another escort map with 3 checkpoints for the attacking team to push the payload through. This time it's going to be Franklin attacking first. And as they start here, it's going to look like they're going with the same sort of composition that for double shield on the payload, protecting a Bastion and a Junkrat, able to output massive amounts of damage. However, Madison have done a fantastic job in the later parts of the last match on Rialto, countering this strategy. And so Madison have a great chance with this, and we'll see if Franklin decide to switch things up once they see that Madison is once again with that Genji that gave the Bastion so much trouble, as well as a who could do the same.
Yeah, and one thing to know, last game, Franklin was down a player, but they now have their healer BAP, the Baptiste, here and in person. See if that has any effect on their strategies as well.
Yeah, and I think the Baptiste is a much better healer for this sort of composition than the Ana. She will be able to, or he will be able to output a lot more heal in area of effects. But the Bastion is doing the damage right now, as a couple of Madison have fallen early. The Lucio is going to be there stalling the Tracer. But those pulls from that Orisa are going to be so devastating to a dive strategy of that sort. Dominate on the Wrecking Ball, just getting behind them, harassing the enemy team. The Tracer for Madison falls, unfortunately. And the Madison team just get blown away there by that Junkrat. And it looks like it's going to be exactly the same strategy coming out from Franklin. And Madison, they will switch off the Genji, choosing the dead. Ghost did seem a little bit more comfortable on that hero. Not sure if they're going to stick with the Tracer for Goofy Gamer. Not a hero that I have seen them play before. And unfortunately for Madison, they did lose a couple early there, but their Junkrat has been pretty successful. Although with their Mercy down, they're gonna have a hard time here. The Bastion falls though, and that is the centerpiece of the team for Franklin. No ability to resurrect that either, as the Mercy going down as well. Dominate's just gonna pull the Reinhardt a little bit, but unfortunately will fall to that damage. The Reinhardt's pretty low on health, but not going to be eliminated. It is able to grab that back and get the cart moving once again. And Madison, they're trapped on top of the diner. They're having a hard time actually grouping, and if they all get eliminated by that Riptire, they're gonna have no chance of grouping up. As 3 of them go down to that, the rest will go down to plentiful damage available with this composition, and it looks first checkpoint is about to go to them, unless this ball is able to make some magic then, but falling so low on health, you're not gonna be able to imagine that he will do so. And indeed, the first checkpoint is going to go to Franklin here with this double shield part. The supercharger comes out from the Orisa, amplifying any damage that's going to be done by Franklin. And Madison will not be able to resist that damage. The Riptire, though, is going to take down the Immortality Field and put all of them fairly low. Madison is going to do a great job of cleaning that one up. Only the tanks remain, and Dominate is in a pretty good position to deal with them. Unfortunately, their damage was a little bit too much, and the Wrecking Ball will be eliminated. And even without the rest of the team there, Franklin still persists on this point. Tracer is just not going to be able to do enough to stop them here, and in fact will get by that Orisa. And now Madison are above as Franklin regroup on this point, looking for the same strategy again. Mercy tries for a sneaky resurrection in the back, but won't be able to do so. Both Mercies gone, and the beat goes on for Lucio. That's going to protect Madison a little bit, but that Bastion damage is still so much. Dominate falling yet again. Even with the massive health provided by Wrecking Ball, it's not going to be quite enough. And assisted by that hammer to keep going here. Tracer not really going to be able to go too close to the Bastion for fear that that turret will be pointed in her direction. With so little health, she'll get eliminated nearly instantly. Dominate, though, just going to be slowing the cart down, giving Madison a chance to regroup, respawn. The Reaper's going in. Doesn't quite have the ultimate, though, so not going to be able to do quite enough area damage to deal with this threat. And as Madison continue to fall, the payload's movement is not going to be stopped. The Orisa does have that supercharger ready, and the Death Blossom actually does get charged up from Madison's Reaper. You're going to see getting right in there, and quite a bit of damage. Bastion, Junkrat, Mercy, 3 go down to that Death Blossom. Ghost doing a fantastic job and actually getting another onto that Orisa as well. And at the very last moment, Madison hold on the second checkpoint. Actually, that's 6 for Ghost once again, taking down every member of the enemy team.
Yeah, he was able to get that ultimate charged up extremely fast by just wailing into that Reinhardt there without any support from the rest of his team. He was just able to pump shot after shot, charging up that ultimate, and ended up wiping the entire enemy team with it later on.
And once again, this composition that's being run by Franklin, it's powerful when you have control of the payload. But when you lose control, that's when things can get rough, because you don't have the back set up on that moving platform for your convenience. However, you do have an amplification matrix that will double all the damage coming through it. That's going to make that Bastion twice as absolutely destructive to Madison. The Earth Shatter going at least where they took shelter is going to be pretty devastating, and that Reinhardt dealing so much damage with every swing of the hammer. The Reaper, though, will come out on top. And now the Supercharger coming out from Madison, going to amplify their damage, trying to take down that Bastion, but just so much healing being pumped into him. And that actually is going to be enough for the captured while nobody's really watching. And with that second checkpoint gone, Madison, they're going to be forced to retreat. Their spawn point will be further back, and Franklin's that much further forward now that this checkpoint has been captured, and Madison just have to back up into this third checkpoint. And now that once they've lost control of the payload, I think that's going to be rough for Madison. Almost charged up the Death Blossom that allowed them to take control in the past. And actually, in the back, they have found eliminations onto both supports. No healing is going to be available. And this should be enough for Madison to fight. The Bastion without healing is going to be just such a target and will get eliminated there. Only a couple remaining, and they will be able to find those eliminations in short order. I'd expect the Junkrat, though, escaping and actually letting loose the tire could turn this fight. Madison lose 2, but they still have some healing in the form of their Mercy. Franklin lose 2. The minefield going up from Dominate is going to make a little bit of space, but the Bastion is back and pumping so much damage into Madison. Madison is still ready, though, and the cart is still in Madison's control for the moment. Reaper, though, falls to the turret damage of that Bastion. And now they've Diva instead of a Reinhardt, it looks like, going to be sacrificing some of those shields for the advantage of greater mobility. The Amplification Matrix is going to allow them to take down that Lucio, but now Bastion's on the point once again, and Madison are going to have a hard time dealing with that. Mercy and Orisa fall, but there is a Reaper. Does Franklin know that there's that Reaper lurking in their backline? If not, the Death Blossom could be the key to Madison's victory here. And it looks like it's coming down. We're right on top of them. We'll find 2. Baptiste falling, but the self-destruct will take down Madison's Reaper, and the Bastion, the all-important Bastion, is going to go down to that Orisa damage. The Supercharger is going to give Madison just a little bit of extra damage. Looks like that's going to be enough to finally clear Franklin off this point and take the round.
Yeah, and you can really see what Bennett was talking about there with as soon as someone is able to get behind them and eliminate their healing and get the Bastion off of the point, the Franklin Magic really don't have any other options to get back on it with any effective means. They really haven't been able to be on that point for very long without instantly being pushed back off again, which has been great for the Madison Marvels to be able to win these past few rounds.
And I think for the Madison Marvels to take this one, they need some sort of, I think they need a more consistent answer to the Bastion, because the Death Blossom is a fantastic answer, but you only have it once every minute at best. Because it's an ultimate ability, it's going to be pretty time consuming to recharge. What Madison need is some sort of answer that doesn't require them to commit an ultimate time they need to stop the Bastion, because what we might see now from Franklin is some sort of setup on the high ground. It won't have the advantages of the moving payload, but with the natural defender's advantage of being given setup and being given that high ground, it could be extremely difficult for them to really push back against that unless they have some sort of answer that will allow them to break through. And it looks like Franklin deciding to set up pretty far forward here. This could be an issue. This Bastion not being able to be protected by shields immediately in the round. The tank's a couple of moments behind, and Dominate looking to take advantage, trying to take down that healing once again. And that Junkrat from Franklin in Madison is going to be giving them a little bit of trouble as well. With threats on both sides, the Bastion is just able to mow through them. And you're seeing Ghost on the Genji once again, and I think that deflect could be the exact answer that they need here to this damage. But they need to be able to use it so consistently. The Bastion has low, and actually, Ghost is able to take down the Reinhardt, and that's going to be enough. The Bastion falls. Mercy looking for the resurrection is going to be able to find it, but not onto the Bastion. And now the Blade is ready, takes down the Mercy, takes down the Orisa, looking for the Reinhardt as well. From Ghost to absolutely deny this Bastion strategy being run by the Franklin. And Ghost is just looking to get some extra damage onto that healing, and will be able to do very effectively. Charged an entire Dragon Blade in such a short time. That's no small feat. There's a lot of talent with that Genji hero. However, the Damage is still rolling. And that Riptire could be so dangerous for Madison. Their Mercy is going to fall to that. Means they have less healing and no resurrection. They've lost both their... But Ghost is not deterred. Is going to be able to take down the Junkrat. Unfortunately, will get resurrected. Although, Ghost finds the Bastion, and that's going to slow them down a lot more. They won't be able to set up with the Bastion since it has been eliminated. And now Ghost just continuing to harass those enemy supports, making their jobs so much harder. And if they're not careful, some eliminations as well as the Baptiste goes down to that damage. And the Bastion has just not been set yet. You can see just coming back now, although that could be the exact angle that he needs to get a surprise attack onto Madison. With no support from the team, though, if just a few of Madison's members realize that the Bastion is there, all could be lost for Franklin. And as they lose their team before the Bastion is even able to have an impact, I think this is exactly what Madison wants. The Bastion's going to be having such a hard time giving impact to this battle, and the Bastion not even going to be able to contest, will be able to do so at the last moment, but the deflect is absolutely enough. The elimination onto that Bastion, and thus the first point. And they were able to do it with so few ultimates as well. The Supercharger comes out from Orisa, but I think could be a dangerous thing to do, as is going to be great for Ghost. Just gonna allow him to find the elimination onto that Orisa. Does get resurrected though. And you need to be aware here. Could be at great risk of losing this fight. However, because they captured that first checkpoint, their spawn points are going to be much closer than Franklin's. Even if they lose this fight, they'll reach faster, that they'll be able to eventually win here, just by virtue of winning the war of attrition. But the war of attrition isn't even what they're going to need. Franklin's Mercy trapped behind enemy lines, and is distracting them a little bit, but won't be a serious threat, as Dominate is able to eliminate that hero. The Junkrat's trying to do some damage in the front here, but without the tanks, very difficult. The Riptire doesn't even come out, and that's going to be a powerful ultimate that will be unfortunately all but wasted for Franklin. And now Madison just taking so much space here, and they have so many ultimates left as well. The Bastion is able to take down Wrecking Ball, but at the cost of allowing those mines to be set up, is going to make it a lot harder for Franklin to get out here. But they are able to set up a Bastion on, and Madison do need to answer that. Looks like the Genji is more than ready to do so, though. Finds a quick elimination. The Mercy's there with the Resurrect, but only get one of those every 30 seconds. So burn useful. Both Orisas falling. And the Bastion is once again, after great damage here, gets healed. Both of those healers actually trying their best to keep the Bastion alive, and it looks like so far they will be succeeding. Madison are going to be repelled slowly but surely away from this point. But now you're seeing actually the Torbjorn and the Genji both looking for the Bastion here. Not quite able to find those eliminations, or that one key elimination at least. They have found a couple. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. The Dread is ready as soon as Ghost wants to use it. They might be trying to win this fight without it. And the Bastion taking some damage, but between the self-healing ability and the healers on the team, it actually is not going to be quite enough, as Genji is going to get back in there, finds the elimination. And now Madison's Torbjorn using the Molten Core ability, putting that lava on the floor, making it difficult for the Franklin to in that situation. The Genji's Dragon Blade does get shut down, unfortunately, but will be resurrected back into this fight. The D.Va loses her mech, and then the Genji is just getting right onto those supports once again. Madison just cleaning this one up. The Bastion, it is strong, but will it be enough? Dominate falling dangerously low, but stays up for now. The Supercharger is going to give Madison so much extra damage that it's going to make it so difficult for Franklin to stay up here. And that is actually going to be enough. Madison will take the second checkpoint. And now just 2 minutes for them to get onto this third checkpoint. The Junkrat behind them. A little tricky for them, and the Riptire comes out. If they're not expecting it, this could be devastating. Takes down the Orisa. But the Mercy is going to be there for the Resurrect. and in no real danger. That will complete. And now Madison, they get a chance to group up on the... And they only really need one more fight here with the distance that they have remaining. I don't know where the Bastion is set up, and that's going to be the key question for this final fight. Where is the Bastion? The bomb is actually going to take down the Mercy, unfortunately. Madison a little bit low on for this last bit here. But it looks like there's been a huge flank from Franklin. They're all behind Madison, and with enemies on all sides, Dominate will just be forced to retreat. Still, they have a minute remaining and not very much space left to capture with their payload. And they have taken control of this space behind those mines. Takes down the Lucio. And the blade is coming out from Ghost. Gets the elimination onto the Junkrat, looking for more. Not gonna find the Bash key. Huge source of damage going down there, and the D.Va, with no team remaining, it's gonna be hard for her to keep her mech. She won't. The beat will give them extra health momentarily, but it's not gonna be for long enough. Madison are consistently there with the damage, and they are able to deal so much of it that sound barrier is not going to the Franklin. The Lucio might have to stall this one out. The Junk as well, but both of these heroes have so little health that the Genji, those shurikens are just able to deal so much damage. The deflect, letting the Genji just take the last little bits of space. But Madison, so many of them have fallen. They have just a couple meters to go, but are they going to be able to stay up? The whole enemy regrouping here. Franklin getting on this point, and their area of effect healing is really devastating to the Madison right now. That Riptire is going to take down a few. The Molten Core puts Lava out, and it's taking them to a pretty low amount of health, but it's only Dominate left to contest the point, and if he is the point for a moment, overtime will end. Going to need to be very careful here. The Amplification Matrix, the trap so much that is designed to make Madison's life harder in these last moments, but Dominate is doing a fantastic job at the point. The minefield goes up, going to make it so difficult for Franklin. The D.Va bomb is going to be Madison not able to hide from that one, 4 going down, and it's Dominate once again going to need to make a lot of time, and with not a lot of health left, it's going to be very difficult. So Dominate will fall, and by the barest of margins, the Franklin Magic take the second map.
Yeah, that was an incredibly close match right there. That D.Va bomb coming in at the last minute, probably going to be this play of the game here to win the game for the Magic here.
Yeah, absolutely. That bomb just perfect, making it impossible for Matt to stay on the point, to stay uneliminated, and then able to get a 5th elimination as well. Fantastic job. Ghost, again, doing a really great job with 64 eliminations on this map. Great healing as well from Lunar Eclipse, but not quite enough for Madison to take this one.
Yeah, and as we get moving on to the next match, just take a moment to talk about some of the updates coming for the Madison Marvels here. We will be expanding to the second location over in over at Edgewood College. Sorry about that. Going to Edgewood College, adding a new location over there. So anyone on the west side interested in joining, make sure to look out for that. Rocket League will be added as well coming up in the next month or so. Tryouts for both Overwatch and Rocket League will be at both locations in Sun Prairie and Edgewood starting January 23rd. So make sure that we check out the Facebook page. We'll have up-to-date information for you guys there. And we will take a short break while we set up the last match here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rip it. It doesn't matter at all.
Esports is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're taking that and we're delivering it to elementary and middle school kids.
Yo, you guys are getting pretty wrecked by me. Dad, all right, push up with me.
We're bridging the gap between conventional athletics and competitive gaming. We have kids working on the same technology that the pros are training to improve their skills.
When did you lose? When did you lose?
I'm surprised that D4. It looked like
Through a
Madison had
partnership
hit
with
it
the Positive Coaching
quite
Alliance,
successfully, but there must have been
our coaches
some
go
weird
through
angle.
double goal certification. They learn not only how to work through the strategies of the different games they're playing, but they also work through how to impact these kids' lives in a positive way. They get to mark and highlight behaviors and attributes that will lead to long-term life skills.
You love being Battle Mercy.
Yes, battle.
No, it's not. Why don't you tell us your favorite move that Mercy does?
So what brought me to XP League is the experience of my children. I had always hoped and wanted them to be a part of a youth athletics team. So I realized they all love competitive gaming. So why not marry their passion with...
Alrighty, welcome back. We're the third and final match for the day for the Silver team. Both teams 1-1. Whoever wins this last game will be the winner of today's match. First off, I will hand it over to Bennett once again to explain about Gibraltar, a new map that we haven't seen yet, and we'll see how it plays out for these two teams.
All right, so yeah, we're going to be getting started here on Watchpoint Gibraltar, which is yet another escort map with a couple of unique geometric features. There's a lot of natural high ground for the defenders, especially on this first point, that can be very difficult to surpass for an attacking team. And it looks like need changing the core of their composition very much, but there are some unique changes. It's going to be Franklin switching over to a Diva instead of Reinhardt, which is going to mean there's a lot less protection available for the Bastion. And then Madison, they're switching up their damage heroes a little bit, trying to find the right thing to answer this Bastion. It's not going to be the Echo, though, because they will fall almost immediately, as does the Orisa, and Madison are just being held in spawn for the moment. However, the Wrecking Ball is able to get in the back, takes down the Bastion. The Resurrect will be there, unfortunately, for Madison. They have found a couple of eliminations, but not that Bastion yet. And the Echo will just be trying to deal that little bit of extra damage. And Bastion and Orisa, Bastion and Diva, excuse me, hiding in Madison's backline, spotted by Lunar Eclipse, but as a Mercy, does not have the tools to deal with that. It sends in the Soldier instead. And now Madison, they're just pushing the payload further while the Bastion and Diva are separated more and more from the fight that matters. And I think if Madison are just able to ignore them for long, this could be an extremely successful strategy for them. The Bastion essentially doesn't matter in this final fight, so far behind the payload. Oh, actually, maybe able to find an angle onto some of the enemy team. And Resurrect one, and that will be the first checkpoint. A small positioning mistake from the Bastion just leads to absolute chaos on the side of Franklin. And those sticky bombs actually gonna deal a lot of damage there. First point has been captured. It doesn't really matter what happens now. Madison fall, but they're going to respawn right here. Whereas Franklin, they're going to be spawning much further away. Do have a pause, as it looks like there's been one disconnect from Franklin.
Yeah, and we saw there, Madison kind of just walked right into the point there without much contention. After getting the win on the first fight and leaving the two remaining players in the dust, they weren't able to really make an impact on this first point here. So Madison with a ton of time to get to the next 2 points. It looks like we have 5 minutes to go for the rest of this round, and so we'll see how Madison goes about moving forward here. And it looks like we have our other player back.
It's definitely the fastest capture on the first point of Gibraltar that I have ever seen. And watching just looking at those ultimates, Madison have up a lot of their minefield and their tactical visor, which are both pretty powerful here. Okay, Franklin going out to the Junkrat, same as they had before. They have the self-destruct almost charged and the tank for Bastion almost completely charged. Madison's Echo getting trapped behind a couple of enemies. The Wrecking Ball comes in to rescue. And actually, those mines will be able to take down the Mercy. The Baptiste falls as well. Fantastic work from Dominate to take down the enemy supports. And this is, you need to break the second point of Watchpoint Gibraltar. If you can just stagger the enemy team, that can be enough. But what can be a lot worse than that is getting absolutely shut down. And Madison now are the ones with no supports, as that tank just took down all 3 of them. The Supercharger, though, was forced out as well from the Franklin Orisa. And what that's going to mean is they do find themselves at a significant ultimate disadvantage, having had to use 3, while Madison only committed 1, and they're coming close to almost 4. And that advantage could be what takes them through this difficult to break second point. The Baptiste is going to have to use the Amplification Matrix just to try to keep up. It will be enough, though, for the moment, as the Soldier is not quite able to find the elimination, and the being able to set up in the back and just rain bullets down on Madison, that was enough in this case to keep them away. And now Madison, they have to regroup once again. Half of that tank ultimate has recharged for Franklin. The D.Va is actually able to get back in her mech. The unique characteristic of that character being that she has a second life of sorts after she's taken out of her mech. She's able to walk around and build it. But now Madison, they still have a pretty significant bank of ultimates that is not answered in any way by what Franklin have at the moment. If Madison attacks soon, they're going to be able to use that bank of ultimates very effectively. But unfortunately, just walking into the Bastion's line of sight is not going to work out for you. Regardless of how many ultimates you put towards it, the Bastion is just able to deal so much damage. And that is exactly what is going to happen to Madison now, as Dominate does put the mines on. They're going to deal some damage. A lot of the enemy team falling very low, but nobody is going to be there to capitalize right now. Only 1 eliminated by that, and actually will be resurrected right away, recharged as well to try to shut down yet another Madison push. The Echo, though, able to find a D.Va before she goes down. And if Madison can just get all together at one point, that could be enough. The Tactical Visor will be, though, so much damage coming out of the Bastion will fall. And the Baptiste as well is going to go down to that damage. The Mercy is still there, going to want to resurrect that Bastion, but Dominate looking to make her life difficult in that regard. And actually, the Bastion respawns on his own, going to be to resurrect. However, the Supercharger coming out from Franklin is going to give them enough damage to get rid of the Soldier and Wrecking Ball for Madison. The Echo is just getting right here, but against that Junkrat damage, that is not advisable. She will be eliminated. The tank comes out, possibly a slight overcommittal from Franklin. Mercy looking for a resurrection of some sort, but actually caught away from her team. Gonna have to get healed up by that Lucio. Madison, they regroup once more. They have the sound barrier, but the rest of their ultimates are not quite there with them. Dominate has switched to the Sigma. I like that choice. I think it's a lot better than the Wrecking Ball when you're going against this Bastion. For some reason, Franklin have decided to back off the point a little bit, giving Madison exactly the space they need. And that's a really nice capture from Madison, potentially. If they can't stall for long enough, however, that Riptire is going to make Madison's life so difficult getting those eliminations. However, the Orisa does get resurrected. The Bastion, unfortunately, in front of the Amplification Matrix, not going to get used. And the Sigma is able to just ignore that damage. Not for long, though, and the Baptiste is able to find the final blow there. Madison's Mercy, flying around, just needs a couple more to take that checkpoint. But Mercy alone, even with the help of Orisa, is going to have a hard time getting there, and will get eliminated in the end. Madison have one last chance. They have their Riptire and they have barrier, and the Riptire is out right now. It's coming straight down to the point. It finds 4. The Mercy and Baptiste go down, as well as the Bastion and Orisa, and now with only 2 left, it looks very possible for Madison to take this point. The D.Va's taking so much damage. The bomb comes out. Madison need to hide. The Pharah is not going to be able to, but everybody else can. The respawners are starting to come in, but will they come in fast enough? The D.Va just needs to go down. That's all Madison need. The respawners are here, though, for Franklin, and the whole team is going to be stop Madison from taking the second point. The turret that is the Bastion is back and doing so much damage. Madison are going to have a very hard time breaking through this one. Dominate taking some high ground here, but going to have a hard time dealing with this Bastion once again. Spinning, just trying to keep him alive, but it will not be enough. Nobody can touch for Madison. And that's that for round 1.
Madison getting so close yet again to getting that point, but just wasn't able to. Still manages to get 1 point there, and most of the second one there. So they will have to keep this magic from getting to that second point here, which may prove difficult.
Yeah, I mean, the second point on Watchpoint Gibraltar, as you saw, it's really slanted towards the defenders. The spawn point is very good for them, and the natural high ground favors them really strongly. Madison to have that same defender's advantage. The most common way teams are able to break through that second point is by just eliminating enemy heroes one by one, making sure they're never able to mount a full-on assault on the payload. And that's what Madison were almost able to do until the Riptire shut down their hopes and dreams earlier in this round. And now, if they are able to do the same thing, if they're able to hold out on the second point, they can that Franklin aren't able to take the payload far enough to take this round.
Yeah, and you also have to take into account that Madison had an extremely long time to get to that second point and still weren't able to in that point. So if Madison's able to stall them a little bit more for this first one, they might have a better chance of stalling them for that second one as well.
Right, and they now switch on to the Pharah, which I really don't like the Pharah against a Bath to be so exposed to that damage, and goes down right now. Gets resurrected, but even so, Pharah's going to have a very hard time staying up there. However, the Bastion has fallen, does get resurrected, but still, that damage from Madison, the is going to be enough to take down the Bastion yet again, this time slightly more permanently. And then the Ashe just able to use those dynamites and shots to rain damage on the enemy team. However, they are regrouping on this first point, and Madison, though, they're actually going to be trying to fight them right here in front of their spawn. The Sigma Kinetic Grasp keep him nice and healthy, high up on those shields. Lucio getting resurrected, but Mercy falls soon after. Madison, with very little healing, the Lucio will be forced to run to avoid elimination, will be able to do so. And this is good, because now, where Franklin just lost the first fight and then lost the entire checkpoint, Madison here, you can see they have a very strong opportunity to fight once at least on this point. And that is going to give them a great chance to buy a lot of time here for themselves. They're caught in this room, though, which is not ideal. The Bastion's going to be able to do a lot of damage, and nobody can touch. That's going to be the first checkpoint right then and there. And unfortunately, with about the same time bank, Franklin are going to break onto the second checkpoint. Madison just didn't quite get the positioning that they needed in relation to the payload. And now the Sigma, some danger here as the Gravitic Flux is charged, but taking so much damage to that Junkrat. Sigma will go down. And Madison need to avoid getting staggered. They need to avoid that so common method that attacking teams use to break through the second point. But the death of that Pharah is going to be pretty devastating to that regard. That's why the action there is going to be so huge. Taking down the Junkrat and the Baptiste as well, Madison find themselves once again at an advantage. And with their tanks able to move forward, these double shields are just going to be able to deal so much damage to their enemies. The Mercy and the Bastion are in this side room, though. Orisa was not aware. You do not walk into a room with a Bastion, not by choice. Although, that ultimate is just going to get shut down by Sigma's Kinetic Grasp. Able to heal so much. Gets caught in Sigma's Gravitic Flux now, and the Bastion will fall. Mercy going down as well. The Baptiste is going to be caught in the back. And get staggered here by Madison. And Madison's Pharah goes down. I wonder if they're going to choose to switch off that hero, waiting for that barrage. Not sure which is wiser at this point. But now, Madison are trying to make the space they need. However, that Sigma shield was not quite enough to protect them from the self-destruct, and Sigma and Mercy going down is pretty rough. And eliminations on both sides, but it looks like the advantage so far is going to Franklin. Madison, they're gonna have a rough time touching this. It is very close to the end here. Sigma, though, making the space that they need. giving them a little bit of extra space. That kinetic grasp doing a great job keeping Sigma healthy. But the Riptire is out. It's going to be pretty dangerous for them there. The Barrage, the Orisa. Actually, it looks like the Riptire might just not find anything. It does eventually find a Reaper, though. And now it's just the Orisa left. Not going to be able to touch, unfortunately. And the Frank take the third map and take this series.
Play of the game here looks like by Ghost with the perhaps a Riptire ultimate.
This Riptire that gave them a chance at the end of that first round, unfortunately, just wasn't quite enough. And take this series 2-1, close games all around.
Yeah, a excellent game this week from both teams from the Silver. Unfortunately, the Madison did not come out on top this time, but a good effort from both sides. We will have another game starting at 5 p.m. for the Madison Marvels Gold team, so stick around for that. Once again, I will remind everyone that we'll have a bunch of new stuff coming up here. Tryouts for the Overwatch and Rocket League will start January 3rd, and the Fortnite teams are actually starting this week, and you will be able to watch those games starting next weekend. Check out Facebook and Twitter and Twitch for updates on that. For now, I will be back with the winner of the XP coin for a quick interview about this game, and in the meantime, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I have Lunar Eclipse here, the winner of the XP coin this week, and our interviewee for today. First question for you is, what do you think your favorite part of this game was? What was your favorite play of the game?
My favorite play was probably the times that I was trying to stall the point while using my ult, because they didn't really get me, and then I could stall enough for my team to get there.
Yeah, you were really
So-
happy feet over there, flying around. No one could even touch you until you got rid of your ultimate. Unfortunately, it couldn't last forever.
Yeah.
But yeah. And what do you think your team did well? I know there's a lot of high moments and unfortunately some low moments. So what was your input on that?
I think that one thing our team did really well at was trying to focus targets this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would try to say, like, focus Mercy or focus, like, a tank or something, and they would try to focus them and get them down before the rest of the team.
Yeah, you guys did a good job of taking out the supports first, going back to front, kind of like that, and making sure that they didn't have any healing. Because you can't really do anything without healing, as you know, as the healer. 13k, like, almost every single time. It's crazy. What do you think that the team could have done a little better this time? I know it was an unfortunate loss for you guys, but...
Yeah, at the end, the team kind of fell apart. We were kind of getting mad, and yeah, we were just getting mad, so we didn't really want to team up, and we were just trying to go in one by one. That never works against their whole team.
Yeah, no, that Bastion running in there one by one is a death sentence at that point. So, well, thank you for your input. Last time, I'll remind everyone that tryouts will be starting up pretty soon here for both Overwatch and also for Rocket League, which we'll be bringing both here in Sun Prairie and also over at Edgewood College too. So both east and west side of Madison has a location now. Make sure to stay tuned for our game at 5 for the gold.